Welcome back to the podcast. Again, I'm going to keep pumping these out because I'm loving your suggestions and it gives me something to talk about other than myself or what the thoughts are going through my head. That didn't make sense, but we're here another week, and the question or suggestion, I should say, that I enjoyed the most from last week was how to handle overwhelm when a challenge feels too big to start. I think that's a fucking great question. And naturally, I think that when we start something new, or I should say, it's a natural human process that when we don't know something, we always think of the worst possible outcome. So when you start a challenge or something new, naturally your mind and attention goes to everything that can go wrong. And that's all you focus on. What if I run out of money? What if I don't do this? What if this happens? And you'll create 1,000 different scenarios in your head of why something will be too hard, or it won't work, or it's not the right thing for you. And I believe that's one, because you're so used to the life that you've got, the comfort zone that you're in. So therefore, you're going to want to stay in it because it is comfortable. But life in a comfort zone is fucking boring. So that's what I have to say about that. And the second reason is, as I say, you're going to be constantly doubting yourself. And with challenges, for me, it depends who you want to be. Yeah, because you have to realise that if you don't challenge yourself, you're going to settle for who you are now. And if that's enough for you, then fantastic. Carry on as you are, you'll be happy. But if you're anything like me, I always have to challenge myself. I always have to put myself in difficult positions because, one, I'd say I always want more. Not in a way of I'm greedy, but I get bored. So I think to myself, what can I do next? What is next? How can I progress my life? Because I think a life stagnated is a life wasted. That doesn't really rhyme, but I just think if you're in this position where you're scared of challenges, you've got a massive fear of failure, and your insecurities are holding you back, then you're going to be fucked forever. And I've been in exactly the same position. I used to turn up to my desk every single day when I worked in London, and I used to say to myself as I sat down, I'm bigger than this. My life has more to offer than sitting at this fucking desk. But I just waited for things to happen. And I got very lucky, to be honest, because I did battle with my mental health. I did want to commit suicide, and that really showed me that nothing in life is worth fearing. Yeah, it's not. I think it made it very real to me. What is that? Sorry about that. Freight train just went past, even though there's not a train station near my house. It made it very real to me that death happens to us all, and therefore I have to make the most of life. And dwelling on whether a situation or a challenge or whatever is going to work, that's just wasted time. I'm someone that I would rather dive in headfirst into the deep end and learn how to swim. And I think that when you're stuck in a challenge, or when you're stuck and scared of making a change or taking on a challenge, all that is just self-doubt in your head. And you've got to think to yourself that anything you've achieved in your life, you was once shit at it. There's nothing in your life that you can do now. You didn't come out of the womb and do everything perfectly. So everything that seems easy to you now once was a challenge. Brushing your teeth, you had to learn how to do that. Going for a shit, you had to learn how to use a potty and then wipe your ass. Yeah, so the basic things in your life and the things that maybe you overlook that you've accomplished, you've learned, you've challenged yourself, and you've mastered it. Whether it's challenge yourself to create a new body, go into a new job, start up a business, whatever it may be. For me, something that made, especially with what I do now, because when I started, I mentioned it so many times, I used to be so scared of talking to the camera like this. Honestly, I was petrified. It would take me, I would say, 3 hours just to record a 5-minute video. And then I can't even tell you how long it would take me to edit it. And when I started posting fitness content, I was so scared of what other people would think. I was so scared that it would be shit. I'd so scared and be overwhelmed by all these negative emotions that I just started posting workouts. And then it comes down to, really, in my head, it came down to, what do you really want? Do you want to please other people and not go after what you want and just focus on doing the bare minimum to say, oh, I gave it a good crack? Or do you actually want to go hell for leather after something that could set your world alight? So I think you definitely need to have an understanding of being okay to be shit. Like, I think that's one of the biggest superpowers you can have. If you're okay at being shit at something, then nothing can stop you. Because like now, today, like I've just edited a vlog, which to me, years back, I remember 2017, I got told that I should start vlogging. I've done like 3 or 4 vlogs, didn't even edit them, I just done a video and put it up. But at that time I was like, this is fucking horrendous, this is scary, and I stopped. But I had a big audience then on YouTube. And if I'd carried that on, I'd probably be making a decent whack off YouTube now, to be honest. But because of the overwhelming nature of starting and being scared of the challenge, I'm now only picking up my YouTube game now. So it's definitely about facing your fears. You need to understand that failure is a part of life. Failure is not a bad thing, and that's what a lot of people think. If you fail at something, it's like when you're at school. It's like if you fail a test, it's deemed as really bad. But what if you got a certain amount % better than the last test you did? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't measure progress. Whereas in life, failure has to happen for you to excel and succeed, what an idiot. Another area where I think is just super important for me when you're entering a new challenge is you can focus on where you want to be. And that's so easy to do, because say even when I started this fitness journey myself or podcasting or whatever, I'm not looking at I wasn't scrolling back to a podcaster and listening to their first ever podcast. I was listening to the podcast that I liked and listening to their podcast and thinking, fuck me. Me recording on my iPhone at the time, like recording the sound through the speaker on my iPhone, I was like, I'm never going to get there. But also, I'm comparing my day 1 to someone's day fucking 1000. So you have to be okay with just being shit at the start, and chasing perfection is never going to happen. There's always things that you think, oh, that could be a tiny bit better or whatever. But if you're looking to be perfect on day 1, you're not giving yourself any chance to fail, to fall down, to make mistakes which help you learn to then create more. So the key thing, there's many key things clearly, but you just need to be okay with being shit. That's the big takeaway, I would say. And then if you are, I don't know how to say it really, with a challenge, if you look at the end goal, you're gonna bug yourself out, and you're gonna think, how the fuck am I gonna get from where I am today to that goal? It's gonna seem impossible. But you have to realise, like, you cannot climb a mountain. Well, you probably could. There are some mountains you could climb in a day, but you can't climb a mountain by just jumping to the top. You have to put one foot in front of the other over and over again. So if you look at that as in like life and days, then all you need to do is, if you start today Tomorrow, you don't need to get to the top of the mountain. You just need to put one foot in front of the other. And then the day after that, do exactly the same. So it's marginal gains every single day that will take you to the end goal. And if you're starting a challenge and all you're focusing on is how far away you are to the end goal, that's going to look huge. Whereas if you look at how far you've gone from, say, day one, and I do it now, I still overlook how far I've come in the last few years in regards to the content that I put out or the way I speak to the camera, how comfortable and normal this feels to me now. It is fucking crazy compared to how I felt back in the day when I tried to do my first video. I lived in a shared house at the time and I was scared to record when people were in case they heard me like stuttering and shit. Whereas now, like, that doesn't faze me. So anything new is going to be scary and you have to be okay with that. You have to understand and embrace that you're just going to be shit. And I think if I look, my first job out of university was in recruitment. I walked in the office on day one and I was shit at recruitment. I could talk to people, don't get me wrong, but I was shit. But then over, say, a year and a half that I was doing that job, by the end of it I was decent at recruitment. I could bring new business on as if I was fucking, I don't even know. It was easy for me. Yeah, so in my head, and what you need to get in your head as well is, if you can get good at a task that you don't give a fuck about, let's say that's your job right now. If you hate your job, yeah, but you're good at it, that shows that you have the ability to be consistent and patient to get to a place where you want to get to for doing something you don't want to do. So imagine you applied that mindset to something you do want to do, a challenge that you do want to take on. Like I think that, say the corporate world, for example, yes, you get paid to turn up, but you don't understand the consistency, the patience that you're going through, the new challenge that you're taking on. All of these things is like, oh, well, that's part of my paycheck, so I need to do that to get paid. Whereas that's like a challenge in any form of life. You're going to start, you're not going to know what you're doing, then you're going to keep turning up because you have to, then you're going to be patient because you want to be, but you're going to have so much more energy to do it for yourself or in a challenge that you want to take on, rather than one that's sort of forced on you or you have to do. So if you're scared of challenges, you're fucked. And if you're scared of failure, you're always going to be exactly where you are. Like, there is no one that is successful as never fucked up. And it's the hours that you put in, and it's the not trying to be, the power is not in the result or the outcome, yeah? The power and the best part about any challenge is the process, because it molds you into this person where you can look at yourself and be like, wow, I can't believe that I did that, or how the fuck did this happen? Do you know what I mean? Because the power comes from you overcoming those small challenges within a challenge, saying not fuck fear, but looking at fear head on and just being like, do you know what? I accept that you're there and I appreciate it, but I'm gonna just jump out of this plane and fucking see where we go. And I think that that's a mentality you need to adopt, because if you're scared to challenge yourself now, imagine how comfortable and settled you will be in a few years' time. And then you'll be thinking, and then it's even more of a habit to not face challenges, more of a habit to be scared of things. And when you're doing that, you're just conditioning yourself for the future to make it even harder for yourself to say, do you know what, fuck this, I'm going to do me. I'm going to do what I really want to do and go after whatever I want to go after. And I think that's my mentality with anything now. It's like, there's things that scare me every day about my job, about posting. Sometimes I'm even scared to fucking talk on my stories. I don't know why, but it's just something that I don't feel really overly comfortable with. Some days I'm sweet with it. Some days I'm like, yeah, cool, this is fine. But I think there's always minute miniature challenges that you just need to look at and say, this is uncomfortable, but that should be exciting for you. Because again, if you're in a comfort zone, nothing's uncomfortable, everything's easy. And that's why comfort zones get so boring, and you get so agitated and frustrated when things are boring and normal, and just like you're just plodding along, I guess. There's nothing exciting about it. Whereas when you're faced with something uncomfortable, you'll feel it all over your body, like the way your body reacts. You'll feel it in your stomach, you'll be a little bit stressed, whatever. But then when you overcome that problem, it's like, cool, I'm on the next level of the video game. Do you know what I mean? I'm facing the next boss. And then stack those up over time, you're just gonna be unstoppable. But the truth and the reality is I was gonna start, say, online coaching in 2018, and I didn't because I was scared. And then 2 years later, I started it. But in 2018, the challenge, the fear of the challenge, the excuses I was telling myself, there was no difference between 2018 and 2020, apart from the fact I was like, fuck it. What have I got to lose? That's the reality. What have you got to lose? Because if you go after a challenge and it doesn't work out, it's like what I say to people when they say, oh, I'm thinking about going to Australia. Like, what have you got to lose? If you don't like the challenge of doing it and it's not for you, go back to what you do now. You're not losing anything. You're not. It's just, all right, I tried this, it didn't work out. Say, for me, for example, before I moved to Australia, I had my own business. It didn't work out, but that taught me so many fucking lessons for this business. So failure is not final. Failure is a part of life and a part of every success story. If you're not prepared to fail, then you will never start. So you need to be just okay and accepting that when you start anything, you will be shit. When you try and take your first steps, you fall over. When you try and speak, you can't fucking say any words. When you brush your teeth, when you're a kid, you can't do it. When you wipe your ass, you can't do it. But you learn. Yeah? And that is like with anything in life. Any challenge, you persist at it. You don't give a fuck that you can't do it to begin with. And over time, you'll just find that it becomes easy. And when that becomes easy, then it's time to challenge yourself once more and push to the next level. So if you're getting overwhelmed, make sure you're taking digestible bites of your end goal. You don't want to set your sights too high and then be like, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm starting a business today, tomorrow I'm going to be a fucking millionaire, because that is just going to put shit in your knickers. So you want goals that are ambitious enough, but in reach as well. Because this is your comfort zone. This is where your goal should be. That's too ambitious, yeah? But once you get here, then you go to here. Trying to get this in the camera if you're watching on YouTube. So, yeah. That's what I'd say. Be okay with being shit. Accept failure is part of success. And what the fuck have you got to lose? Because in my mind, you're going to lose a lot more by not taking the challenge. Because what's the quote that I heard the other day? I can't remember now, but it's something like the pain, that was it. The pain of discipline is nowhere near as much as the pain of regret. And that's all you need to do. With a challenge, commit to it, be disciplined, be okay with failing, be okay with being shit. Chase, 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 because otherwise you will regret it. And when you start, if you put it off today and you start the challenge, say in a week, in a year, in 5 years, the only regret you'll have is that you didn't do it sooner. And I am testament to that. So that is what I have to say on this topic. Great topic. Please, again, likes on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. 5-star reviews on Spotify and Apple. Let's make me a global podcasting sensation. I can't wait. When I move back to Sydney, trust me, the pod setup in my flat is going to be Buddha but. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. Have an unbelievable week. I've got nothing else to say.